The chemistry lab was silent, except for the faint clinking of glass beakers. Mrs. Elena Carter stood at the front, explaining a complex reaction, her calm voice guiding her students. She had only been teaching at Brookfield High for 6 months, but her quiet authority had already gained the respect of most of her class. Most, except for one. Jason Miller. The school's notorious bully. His father's money had bought his arrogance, and his towering frame gave him the confidence to intimidate anyone who dared to resist him. He wasn't used to being told no, especially not by teachers. That afternoon, Jason had grown restless. He mocked Elena's instructions under his breath, slammed equipment on the table, and laughed when others grew nervous. Elena's patience, already stretched thin, finally broke. She turned to him and said firmly, "Jason, put the beaker down and focus. Your behavior is endangering everyone." The room went still. No teacher had ever spoken to him like that. His pride ignited into rage. With a sneer, Jason rose from his seat, closing the distance between them in just a few strides. And then, before anyone could process what was happening, he grabbed Elena by the throat. Gasps filled the room. A few students screamed. The glassware clattered to the floor. But what Jason didn't know was that Elena Carter wasn't just a teacher. She had a past carved in sweat, discipline, and scars from her years in the military. And in that instant, the soldier inside her awakened. Her eyes sharpened. She didn't panic. She didn't freeze. With a swift movement, she pressed into a pressure point on Jason's wrist, forcing his hand to release her throat. In one fluid motion, she twisted his arm behind his back, using his own weight to drop him to his knees. Jason howled in pain, humiliated in front of the entire class. The students stared in shock. The timid teacher they thought they knew had transformed into someone unshakable, powerful, and terrifyingly precise. But Elena didn't stop there. She didn't strike him further, didn't shout. She simply leaned close enough for only him to hear and whispered, "I've faced enemies 10 times tougher than you. And I survived every one of them. Do you want to test how far I'll go?" Jason froze. For the first time in his life, fear, not anger, filled his eyes. The school exploded with whispers the next day. Some praised Elena, others feared her. The principal, alarmed by the incident, called her into his office. "Elena," he said gravely, "what you did, was it really necessary? He's just a boy." She met his eyes calmly. "He's not just a boy. He's a danger. And if we keep excusing him, what happens when he hurts someone who can't defend themselves?" Her words struck a nerve. For years, the school had ignored Jason's behavior. Teachers avoided conflict. Students suffered in silence. But now, one act of courage forced everyone to confront the truth. Jason's father stormed into the school, threat. The air in the chemistry lab felt heavy that afternoon. Beakers glimmered under fluorescent lights, the faint smell of ethanol lingering in the air. Mrs. Elena Carter, calm as ever, guided her class through a delicate experiment. She wasn't the kind of teacher who raised her voice or demanded attention, she simply commanded respect through her presence. But one student had always resisted that quiet authority, Jason Miller. Broad-shouldered, smug, and with an unshakable belief that he was untouchable, Jason thrived on fear. He had a long history of breaking rules, tormenting classmates, and laughing when teachers tried to discipline him. His father's wealth often erased the consequences. That day, Jason decided to push Elena to her limit. He dropped glass test tubes on purpose, muttered insults under his breath, and flicked chemicals at the desk to make students gasp. Elena paused, set her chalk down, and spoke firmly. "Jason, that's enough. Sit down. You're putting everyone at risk." The words hit him like a challenge. He smirked, stood up, and in front of the entire class, stormed toward her. Before anyone could react, his hand shot out and clamped around her throat. The room froze. Some students cried out in fear, others sat paralyzed, not daring to move. Jason's grip tightened as if to prove his dominance. But what he didn't know, what no one in that room knew, was that Elena Carter had spent 10 years in the military. She had survived war zones, trained soldiers under fire, and fought for her life more times than she cared to remember. Her instincts took over. In a blur of motion, she struck a nerve on his wrist, forcing his hand to release her throat. She pivoted smoothly, catching his arm and twisting it behind his back until he was forced to his knees. His roar of pain silenced the classroom. The students watched with wide eyes as the frail-looking teacher they thought they knew transformed into a warrior. Leaning down, her voice was cold steel. "You will never put your hands on me, or anyone, ever again." Jason's arrogance shattered. For the first time, he wasn't the predator. He was the prey. The next day, chaos consumed the school. Students whispered about the incident like it was legend. Some were thrilled Jason had finally been put in his place. Others feared Elena, uncertain of the quiet woman who had revealed such power. The principal summoned her into his office. His face was stern. "Mrs. Carter, what you did, some might call it excessive." Elena's reply was calm, steady. "What would you have preferred, sir? That I stand still and let him choke me in front of 30 students? That I let the lesson be that bullies always win?" Her words cut through his rehearsed authority. For years, teachers had tolerated Jason's behavior because they were afraid of him, afraid of his father's money, afraid of losing their jobs. But Elena wasn't afraid. Jason's father arrived soon after, furious. He threatened lawsuits.